My name is Samantha Reed, and everything I thought was permanent in my life disappeared in a single, brutal moment. 10 years of marriage ended with a signature on a piece of paper, and just like that, I was no longer a wife. I was a single mother with a 6-year-old boy, a pile of unpaid bills, and a future that felt like it was collapsing under my feet faster than I could keep up. My ex-husband did not just walk away, he took almost everything with him. The house we built together was in his name. The savings we planned for our future were locked in his accounts, and the legal battle drained what little I had left. I remember sitting on the edge of my bed one night, staring at my bank balance, realizing I barely had enough to cover my son Ethan's school fees for the next month. That fear settled deep in my chest and refused to leave. Desperation has a way of pushing you into decisions you would never consider under normal circumstances. That is how I ended up applying for a live and caregiver position at a private estate owned by an elderly billionaire. The listing mentioned a high salary but warned about severe mental instability. Most people would have ignored it, but I did not have the luxury of being picky. I applied that same night, hoping for anything that could keep us afloat. 2 days later, I stood in front of a massive iron gate that slowly opened to reveal a mansion so large it barely looked real. The driveway stretched endlessly, leading to a house that felt more like a palace than a home. A woman in her 40s greeted me at the door. She introduced herself as Victoria Langley, the owner of the estate and daughter of the man I would be caring for. Her voice was calm, her appearance flawless, but there was something distant in her eyes that made me uneasy. As she guided me through the long marble hallways, she explained her father's condition in a detached tone. She said he had become unpredictable, aggressive, and difficult to manage. Caregivers rarely lasted more than a few days. I should have taken that as a warning, but all I could think about was my son waiting for me to fix our life. I told her I would not quit, even though deep down I had no idea what I was walking into. When I first met her father, Mr. Langley, he was sitting in a wheelchair facing a window, his frail figure outlined by the fading sunlight. The moment he noticed me, his expression twisted into anger. He demanded to know who I was and why I was there. Before I could answer properly, he grabbed a glass from the table and threw it across the room, the sound of it shattering making my entire body flinch. I wanted to step back, maybe even walk out, but I forced myself to stay. I introduced myself calmly and told him I was there to help, even as he glared at me like I was an intruder. Eventually, he turned away and ignored me completely. Victoria seemed almost pleased by that reaction, saying it was better than usual. That was my first day, and by the end of it, I was completely drained but still holding on. That night, everything changed in a way I never could have imagined. Around 9 in the evening, I went downstairs to get some water. The house was silent, almost unnaturally so, until I heard a familiar voice coming from the living room. My heart started pounding as I stepped closer, and when I saw the man standing there with a drink in his hand, my entire world seemed to stop. It was my ex-husband Daniel. For a moment, I could not even breathe. He turned toward me, and a slow, mocking smile spread across his face as he looked me up and down. He asked if this was what my life had come to, working as a caregiver in his home. That was when it hit me like a wave. The woman he left me for, the billionaire's daughter, was Victoria. Of all the places in the world, I had ended up working in their house. Daniel enjoyed every second of my silence. He reminded me of everything I had lost and then leaned in close enough for his voice to feel like poison. He asked how I planned to take care of my son without this job, knowing exactly where it would hurt the most. I wanted to walk out right then, to leave with whatever dignity I had left, but the image of Ethan stopped me. I could not afford to lose this opportunity. The following days were a constant battle, not just with Mr. Langley's unpredictable behavior, but with the quiet humiliation Daniel made sure I felt whenever he saw me. He would make small comments, introduce me to others as his former wife, and watch their reactions with satisfaction. I swallowed every insult because I had no other choice. Then one morning, something strange happened. After a visit from doctors arranged by Victoria, Mr. Langley's condition suddenly worsened. He became more aggressive, more confused, like all the small progress we had made had been erased overnight. That did not feel right to me, especially after seeing how much calmer he had been just a day before. That night, as I walked past a partially open study door, I heard voices inside. Victoria and Daniel were talking, and something about their tone made me stop. I did not intend to listen, but then I heard Victoria say that the medication was working. Daniel asked how long it would take before her father completely lost control, and she calmly replied that it would not be long before he was declared mentally unfit. My blood ran cold as their plan became clear. They were not trying to help him, they were destroying him. The next morning, while I was helping Mr. Langley, he suddenly grabbed my wrist and spoke with a clarity I had never seen before. He told me they were trying to make him appear insane. For a moment, I hesitated, unsure if this was just another symptom of his condition, but then I remembered what I had overheard. When I looked into his eyes, I did not see confusion, I saw fear and truth. I made a decision in that moment that would change everything. I told him I believed him, and that I would help him. Over the next few days, I secretly examined his medications and confirmed my suspicion. They were designed to distort his mind, not heal it. Taking a huge risk, I stopped giving him those pills and replaced them with proper treatment through a trusted doctor. Slowly, he began to improve, but we knew we had to keep it hidden. For 3 months, we put on a performance. In front of Victoria and Daniel, he acted unstable, throwing objects and shouting, while behind closed doors, he regained his strength and clarity. During that time, I also contacted a lawyer and gathered evidence, including recordings of their conversations. Finally, the day came when Victoria decided to take control. She organized a meeting with doctors, lawyers, and board members to officially declare her father mentally unfit. The room was filled with confidence on her side, and Daniel looked like he had already won. But then everything changed. Instead of acting confused, Mr. Langley sat up straight and spoke with calm authority. He revealed the entire truth, exposing their plan and the manipulation behind his condition. The lawyers presented the evidence, and the recordings played for everyone to hear. The shock in the room was overwhelming. Within minutes, the police arrived and took Victoria and Daniel away as they tried desperately to deny everything. Watching Daniel being led out in handcuffs, the same man who once mocked me for being nothing, was something I will never forget. After the chaos settled, Mr. Langley turned to me with a softness I had never seen before. He said I had done what no one else was willing to do, and that I had saved not just his life, but everything he had built. Then, in front of everyone, he made a decision that left the entire room stunned. He transferred his entire estate to me. I stood there in disbelief, thinking about how I had walked into that mansion as a desperate mother with nothing left, and somehow ended up changing not only my life, but someone else's as well. In the end, it was not about revenge or wealth. It was about standing up when it mattered most, and proving that even in the darkest moments, doing the right thing can rewrite your entire future.